Okay, so let's move on to exercise 3.5, where we need to compare numbers. So this also seems fairly manageable. So we need to write a function, compare numbers that's given two numbers, and then depending on whether they're equal or similar or one is greater than the other, sorry, that didn't make a lot of sense, but depending on their individual relationship, we need to write out different statements. So I really made a fruit salad out of explaining that, but let's move on to compare numbers and just start working on it instead. So we have compare numbers here, and then as usual we have a little bit of description that we can read, but I think I'll just read the description in the report and just or the exercise sheet and just remove that. So sorry, I have my microphone lying on my keyboard. That turns out not to be a great idea. Okay, so we need to implement this function. So let's proceed the same way we did before by just taking an example here, putting it in the bottom, and then proceeding by solving some of the cases and seeing if we can eventually build a full solution. So we see that if the first number, I guess this is the case where the first number is bigger than the second number, it should print out this stuff. So I'm also actually just going to copy paste this. And then let's see what happens. So we call the function compare numbers with these input arguments. So in that case, we see that first number is equal, oh sorry, I have a lot of cables lying on my computer. 2 seconds. I think this setup can work. Okay, so in this case the first number will be equal to 29, and the second, sorry, just change to American, second number will be equal to 16. Okay, so when is the first bigger than the second? Well, we can write that as first number is being bigger than the second number. And in that case we need to return this statement here. So we can just do that like this, and now it returns this string. And I just noticed something, namely that we are using single quotes around this string, and that's completely valid in Python. It doesn't matter if we use double quotes like this, or we use single quotes. That's evaluated to the same thing. Why? Well, in a sense it makes things a little simpler, but it also allows us to do things like that. So if we want to print out a string with single quotes, we can do that. And we can also exchange the outer quotes and the inner quotes and potentially do stuff like this. Otherwise it would be syntactically a little bit difficult to do this stuff. That is why we have both options available. Anyway, I think we should stop with that explanation and just see what happens now. So in that case it should print out this stuff, and we see that it does so, and that's good. And then we can move on to the second case. If the second number is greater than the first, it should print the second number is greater. So let's just copy paste that one. And actually let's do this. So I'm just going to do a little bit of print here in the bottom. And then I am going to do this. If second number, actually I think I prefer the symmetry. If first number is less than the second number, return second number is greater. And then finally, if they're equal, it needs to say the numbers are equal. So you can probably figure out what needs to happen here. We can do this. And there are a bunch of different ways of doing it, but this is certainly one. So let's just test it like this. And it seems to work. So let's check if we actually implemented it correctly according to the tests. So I'm just going to go to the test, and then we have the test here for compare numbers. So let's try to run these, and it seems to work. So that was how we could solve that.